Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Real quick, I've been thinking, and as it relates to the impeachment inquiry, I've noticed, and I hope you've noticed, that someone's been very, very silent during this whole process. And when I started putting the pieces together, it all made sense. Because at the time when this particular character was in the spotlight, I knew something wasn't right. I knew something wasn't right. And through this line of questioning, the answers that came out put everything together, and it made sense about why Trump is in office in the first place. Okay? The person that I'm talking about is former FBI Director Jim Comey, or James Comey. He's been pretty quiet. He had his 15 minutes of fame, left office, wrote a book, got his money. He's good. He's good. Everything worked out for him. He did his little media tour, and he's good to go. Where am I going with this? If you've paid attention to the testimonies from the witnesses, it was said that Trump was withholding aid from Ukraine, $400 million in aid to Ukraine, in order for the leader of Ukraine to speak out publicly, make a public statement saying that he is investigating the Bidens. Now, why does Trump want to investigate the Bidens? Because Joe Biden would be one of his more legitimate opponents who could beat him in his eyes, right? So he wants to get him out of the way. So he does the whole quid pro quo thing, and hey, you want this money? I give it to you, but you gotta make this public statement about the Bidens, about investigating them into this wrongdoing, criminal activity. So what happens? What happens if he had came out and made that statement? What happens to Joe Biden? Joe Biden's poll numbers go down, and Joe Biden is no longer a threat to Trump. But get this, if you listen to the testimony, it was said that, I think it was Sondland, Ambassador Sondland, he said that Trump wanted Ukraine to come out and announce this investigation, but not to really investigate, but just to make an announcement. I said, wait a minute, something's not right. So I put it together, right? I put it together. I said, this sounds familiar. This sounds familiar. Launching an investigation without an investigation, and it sabotages somebody's political career. And it made me think. James Comey. James Comey came out 11 days before the presidential election in 2016. I'll say it again. James Comey came out 11 days before the presidential election in 2016 and said that he was investigating Hillary Clinton over these emails. Right away, right after he made that statement, right away, he said, there's nothing to see here, there's nothing to see here. Investigation is closed. What happens to Hillary Clinton? She loses. She loses. Even though she had more popular votes and all that other stuff, she loses. She loses support, right? Now, Trump got like 60 million something votes, which is unfathomable for somebody of his caliber. Unfathomable. That's just unreal. Are you connecting the dots like I am? This is the same playbook that Trump used with Comey in 2016. He figured, well, hell, that worked back then, and I became president. This has to work again for me to win a second term. Some may say, hey, Max, that's just a conspiracy theory, and, you're thinking too much, you're going too far. It just makes too much sense, though. Makes way too much sense. The exact same thing. Launch an investigation, then close the investigation, right? Comey launched the investigation, didn't do the investigation. He closed the investigation, and this dude won. What does Trump want the leader of the Ukraine to do? Launch an investigation, don't do the investigation, and then he's going to close the investigation. And look at what's going to happen to the political opponents, to Trump. They're going to go down in the polls and they're going to lose. I'm just saying, hey, I know it's early in the morning. Some of you guys haven't had your coffee yet, but I just need you to think about that. Think about that. I think James Comey should be brought up on charges as well in this whole impeachment inquiry. All the dots are connecting. All the dots are connecting. And I think a lot of people, a lot of the politicians in Washington know what's going on. But, they're not going to say nothing. They're all politicians and all that other mess. But I'm just saying, think about it. Connect the dots. Let me know what you think. Love somebody, but more importantly, love yourself. Protect your mind. Peace.